Welcome to Fundraising is Funny. I'm Lynn Wester.
And I'm Clay Buck.
Join us to share in laughter and stories as we take a lighthearted look at the profession that we love so much, fundraising.
Because sometimes we just have to laugh at ourselves.
Laughter through tears is my favorite emotion. Take a moment, take a listen. Hey, this could even be called self-care.
Bring your favorite beverage and a yummy snack.
In reality, we're here to deliver on our promise. We're going to make you laugh or cringe. And if you learn something too, bonus.
See, we're serious fundraisers. We believe in this work, but we also know we do some really ridiculous things all in the name of raising a dollar. Maybe if we laugh at and with them and at ourselves, we can bring a little joy to everybody in our sector.
Now, don't worry. In that pursuit of joy, we won't name names, but the stories we share are 100% real life in the world of nonprofit fundraising.
Because, come on, fundraising is funny. I love it when we start an episode
mid-conversation,
mid-giggle.
Like we're surprised we're here.
So the way it works, I mean, just for, cause you can't see it at home, right? But when you hit record on the platform, it gives you this visual 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 countdown.
And we ignore it every time.
We do, but there's also this uncomfortable, like, right, we hit record and we're like, okay, we're going to be professional. And then, and then it gets to 3 and we both start giggling and then it starts and here we are. And you're like, why do we listen to this podcast? What are they talking about?
Because the false premise there is that we're going to be professional.
We said fundraising is funny. We never said anything. I don't.
That's right.
Yeah. And
I signed a code of ethics. I didn't sign a code of professionalism.
when did we get the idea? Where did this happen that professionalism meant stoic?
I don't know. You know, it's funny because Clay, I once interviewed at a place and I always say you can tell, you know, we talked about this in season 1.
Yep.
All the doors were closed up and down the hallways. People were wearing turtlenecks for fun. Like there was no loud snacking, you know, like they were buttoned up and I did not pick up what they were putting down.
Yep.
I rocked in there with my nail polish and my red hair. I still don't know why they hired me. Maybe because I'm brilliant and humble.
Oh,
but I did not laugh. It was not a marriage to be made forever. You know what I mean? And so, but yeah, when did we decide that we can't have fun?
And I don't know. Now, there's a fine line between fun and embarrassing.
I try never to like laugh at people. I try to laugh with people.
Well, and nobody,
unless they deserve it.
Unless they deserve it. Nobody sets out to embarrass themselves.
I'm getting a hint here that you have an embarrassing story.
Of course, you're me.
Whoopsies.
So, I had this major gift donor visit. Now, you've met me.
Well,
and I'm sure people have seen pictures.
I love
like
Clay.
There's plenty of me to love. Right? I am not what's known. I am not what's known as a petite wilting flower. And so I'm in this, go for this major gift visit, and the donor says, well, let's meet at my office. And I'm like,
lovely.
Oh, cool. Yeah, great. Okay.
And some downtown posh.
Yeah. Well, it was a little trendy. It was a trendy place. It was one of those like converted places.
Oh, industrial.
I think. Anyway.
Industrial.
Yeah. That part I don't remember as well as I remember this part. It was all very, very modern. So you go into the office.
Hard, slick surfaces.
Very clean lines, very simple. Do you remember the acrylic chairs from the 70s, the clear acrylic chairs?
My thighs do. They're still stuck to them.
See, you say that and it makes me think of those white plastic chairs that we used to have as lawn chairs.
With the strap pattern on.
And you'd get up and you have that sunburned on the back of your thighs or whatever, right? Or your quads, because we work out now.
Yes,
quads.
Quads.
Right, our quads. Any hoozles.
Actually, it'd be the backs of our legs. What's the backs of our hamstrings?
Hamstrings.
That's it.
Well, this
Next
meeting,
to my gluteus.
This meeting hamstrung me. Let me tell you.
Oh, tragic. Don't do that. Don't do that.
So, so we're going to meet and it's these acrylic chairs, these very modern acrylic chairs, clean lines, the whole thing. And I have the whole packet of information, the pitch deck, if you will. There's a phrase that sends me over the edge, but that's another episode. And I go to sit down and I set the packet of information down on the table and I sit down in one of these chairs. And the next thing I know, I am on the floor with my feet up in the air and shatters of acrylic plastic.
Oh, dear.
Oh, dear, indeed.
Oh, dear. We call that ass over tea kettle in my world. Excuse my French to those of you who sensitive ears or kids in the car.
Yeah.
So wait, your brochure's on the table, though.
But the brochure's on the table. Right. I did.
But you're now on the ground. I
did do the thing. And of course, again, the very lovely... I was planning on replacing these anyway, so don't worry about it.
And is she seated in one of those chairs?
Well, not anymore.
She's hovering over you.
Oh, yeah, she's standing up going, what else is he going to break this bowl in the trying to shop here?
A couple of chunks? Are we talking smithereens?
We're talking smithereens. We're talking like shards of clear acrylic plastic.
And are any of them embedded in your flesh?
No, thankfully.
So you're not bleeding at this point.
No. Just not
just from
not externally.
Your ego is just
no, exactly right. So horrifically embarrassing,
like a murder scene.
Horrifically embarrassing. Right? No, all of it. Terribly,
dear.
Awfully embarrassing.
Did you laugh or did you just kind of look up all helpless, like?
I honestly
you don't remember.
Again, I'm gonna go for a musical theater reference, and my theater people are gonna get this. I was in such a state of shock, I completely blacked out. It wasn't until later that I even knew I was laying on the floor. If you can name that show and finish the quote. And what's the next line that comes after that? Put it in the show notes. Let us know. Fundraisingisfunny.com. Tell me you got the reference.
Oh, dear.
Anywho.
And of course, you're dressed up to go do this donor visit.
I'm in my best Men's Warehouse cheap suit.
Oh, 3 for $99.
Not that Men's Warehouse is necessarily cheap.
No, but dear, you're on a budget. You work in nonprofit.
It was and I was much younger then. I even had hair then. So
there's polyester on the floor with
you. Yeah. So
there's
polycotton blend.
Poly blend. Like there's some synthetic
it's
stuff
an environmental
on the
nightmare.
Yes.
An environmental nightmare. It was the 90s. We didn't know what we were doing.
So bad.
So embarrassing. Completely embarrassing. Now, of course, this donor was very, very kind. The meeting went well. I don't feel like I ever recovered. Fortunately, it was not like a brand new donor, and this was the first meeting. There were a number of positives from this.
Well, I mean, good for you for actually getting up off the floor.
Well, I mean, I couldn't at that point crawl out unseen.
I was going to say, I don't know that I would have just stayed on my hands and knees and rolled like I was in a battlefield movie.
Let's see this clear glass table. Maybe she won't see me crawling out.
I just start rolling like Stop, Drop, and Roll or some like World War II biopic.
You do feel like that, don't you?
I mean, I've been in a lot of embarrassing. I have broken chairs before, and only once was it actually my fault, where I went to push back from my desk. I was a consultant at a location, and I didn't realize the chair wasn't on wheels. The wooden leg, and it sounded like the crypt was opening.
Oh my!
And the leg buckled underneath me as I pushed back, and then and I ended up on a tripod of a chair. And so I, of course, propped it back up to make it seem. I did. And as I was packing up my backpack thinking I was going to get away with it, the chair just had it. And it went, and I went, I'm going to have to tell the receptionist, the one who hates me.
Fantastic visual of that.
Right? The one who hates me. So I just walked out of the room holding the leg of the chair. Like it was the Olympic torch, and I had ran.
Exactly the visual that I get.
I had ran or run somewhere, and I walked out with it. And she went, "Is everything okay?" And I went, "Depends on whose chair this is." Yeah, I mean, we've all had those moments. Now, to add on to your lovely story, and I can't wait to hear the end of it, but I have to.
No, that's pretty much the end of it.
No, I know that there's another part because you've told it to me. We once had a client who loved these things called ghost chairs. They were clear acrylic, all one piece, and they had arms on them.
Yeah, that's what these were.
Like they use for events and stuff. And she was in West Texas.
Okay, yeah.
And she wanted them for all her events. She had them in her office. First of all, they were not size inclusive.
No.
Second of all, it's hot in West Texas. Like, I understand it's an oven heat and not a humid heat, but there's heat.
No, it's hot.
I sweat. And so what happens when flesh Let's just say if I ever see a ghost chair.
No, I'll stand.
I'll just stand. I don't care if my feet fall off like I'm on Survivor.
No, and I
am not sitting in that thing and letting sweat. Where you have to turn around because you're scared. There's a mark.
Yes. No, I know that. I'm on a campaign against trendy chairs.
Okay, let's do it together. High five. We'll start a GoFundMe.
No, I am so in for no more trendy chairs.
Okay,
right?
So you demolish.
Well, no. So
this chair gave up its last breath.
This chair.
Can we start a hospice?
Well, no. Now we're going into Monty Python. This is an X chair.
Okay, yeah, it's an X chair according to.
Since I am against trendy chairs, I think I'm just going to stand at the counter while I go have a little snack.
Recover.
Let's
have a snack. You know what else?
What?
Should be outlawed in the trendy chair department?
Yeah.
The bar stools that are the size of a quarter. That are made out of metal.
I sit in those things and it's like a potato on toothpicks. Remember when we used to do that and put a potato?
You got the store laugh out of me because I just pictured a big bumpy potato and two toothpicks sticking out his butt. And I'm like, who can do that balance without? And like they never slide up.
No.
And you can't move them. And you're just sitting there humping the bar stool.
Okay, on that note,
let's go get some bar snacks.
Bar snacks.
Okay.
Yes.
Now that I'm down off the bar stool after much assistance from my friends, and backless bar stools are their own level of hell.
Yeah.
But all that to say, so after this woman's chair gave up its last breath for you, did you close the gift?
Yes.
Okay.
And again, fortunately, this was somebody that was close to the organization. This was not an acquisition thing. This was somebody I already knew.
And so after you leave her, I mean, did she sweep it up?
I don't know.
Were there helpers to sweep?
We moved to a different area of the office.
You just abandoned ship. You're like, I'm out.
If I'm not mistaken, we went and sat on a sofa. But even that,
sit gingerly,
but it was, again, this whole mid-century modern stuff, one of the really low ones with the spindly legs,
really low that test your core.
That I just never actually put my weight down. Yeah, anyway,
you just hovered.
We had a lovely meeting. It went well.
And then you leave her office.
And we leave her office, and she had one of her colleagues, one of her staff members, escort me out. And
off the premises.
I don't know if that was let's escort you out, or if that was just being anyway. As we're walking out, the staff member leans over and says to me, "We hate those chairs. Thank you." They're like, it was bound to happen. I'm like, but why did it happen to me?
I mean, the embarrassment. I'm sure you saw her again.
Oh, many times.
It just goes to show you donors are human. We're human.
That's my point.
I had a similar run-in that I will tell you that I owe my ever-loving, dying loyalty to people who help me out of embarrassing situations.
Oh, gosh.
I think there is a special place on a pedestal or bar stool somewhere.
Agreed.
So I was early in my career and I was subbing for the executive assistant to the vice president. So, fancy town. And I'm in the administration building, which is not normally where I officed out of, and right outside her office. And a guy comes up to the office and he's got on a baseball cap with the school logo on it. He's got a t-shirt and some peach shorts on.
Wait, say that again.
Yeah. Baseball cap with the R on it for the school. He's got a t-shirt and some peach shorts on.
Peach shorts.
And I'm dressed in my best career separates, or dress that I got from the dress barn or, somewhere where I scrapped it together because I was earning $22,500 at the time. And I got paid once a month, so times were tough, right?
The whole thing about separates always cracks me up.
I love a career separate.
Yeah.
Not together, like Granimals for adults, basically.
I'm telling you, Granimals for adults needs to be a thing.
I need that back.
So very much.
So we're there, and then he comes up to me, and he walks right up, and I stood up, of course, because what else are you supposed to do? He sticks out his hand and he goes, "Hey there, I'm Teddy." And I was like, "Well, hello, Teddy. How are you today?"
In your peach shorts.
And in your peach shorts. And I hadn't seen shorts so peach.
Teddy and the giant peach shorts.
Very
James
good.
and the giant peach.
And my vice president comes out of her office and says, "Well, if it isn't," and says his full name. his full name, of which his last name is on no fewer than 7 to 12 buildings on the campus.
Yeah.
And I looked at her with this love and admiration and just thank God she exists kind of thing, because immediately, you know, I knew he was chair of the board. I knew that his family, you know, and that wasn't the only time she bailed me out. Once when I hung up on a phone call because I couldn't figure out the transfer button, she picked up the phone, called the donor back and said, "You hung up on me." Like she was the queen of saving you from the embarrassment.
Yes.
And I will be undyingly loyal to her for the rest of my life. So she announces his full name and I shrink back into my career separates, you know, and I'm like I'm suddenly offering him things we don't have.
Right, yes.
Would you like a sparkling water? Would you like a lemon bar? You know, like, because of course he's the biggest donor we've gotten. His family is, yeah. And they also own like sports ball teams and things.
Go sports ball.
Yeah. And I'll never forget how she saved me from the embarrassment. And then so she just, you know, he just popped by as one does when one owns half the college, right?
Like you do.
So then he leaves and I said, "Oh, I'm so grateful to you. Thank you so much, Cynthia. You know, I had no idea." And she goes, "It's the peach pants. Anybody wearing peach shorts around here is really wealthy." And I was like, "I had no idea." She goes, "Oh, I know you didn't. That's why I said his last name." And so punchline of this fun story is at every job I went to after that, I would take the board roster and go and find photos of them and make a board Facebook.
Can we just talk about that? I'm sorry, I cut you off.
That's what I did. So that if I were ever in an elevator, if I ever were somewhere, I could at least recognize them. Now, it's not to say that they were more important than anybody off the street, but just knowing who I was around, especially when I moved to New York City and everybody was somebody and, you know, anything. But I just started making these board Facebooks and I continued it on and I taught that practice to other people.
Okay. This is one of the things that kind of blows my mind. And maybe it's me. So tell me if it's a me thing. It surprises me how many people don't use Google.
Well, yes.
Like, you hear somebody's name and you're going into, and like, you don't do just like, is nobody else is curious? Like, I want to see what they look like.
Well, I'm curious. I want to know what a billionaire looks like. The only one I know who looks like is Mark Cuban, you know, because he's on the Shark Tank. And, you know, but here's the thing. And to your point, we do a really poor job of onboarding people.
We do.
And so what I decided is that every time I joined a new organization, I would onboard myself to at least, at minimum, the top 5 or 10 donors to the organization. I would know their faces, or their spouse's face, or both. Hopefully not. I didn't know all the girlfriends and other people, but I knew their staff member. I knew who was the gatekeeper to them.
Sure.
And I knew I could see them so that when I saw them, I could identify. People love hearing their name, right? We learned that at Disney.
Dale Carnegie.
Right. Yeah. We learned that at Disney.
The sweetest sound to any person is the sound of their own name.
Right. So I learned that, and it was a skill that really helped me a lot.
Yeah.
It helped me. So, for example, we had to run commencement, and when we had honorary degree recipients, I pulled photos of every single one of them, and I would share it out, and some people wouldn't read it, and some people did, but I just found, look, the least I can do is be informed. I don't know what Renee Fleming looks like, but now I do.
I don't know. I think I'm just nosy.
Well, no, it's curiosity, says Ted Lasso.
Curiosity. It's curious. Yes, I'm curious. I'm curious.
My mom, Norma's nosy as well, and she wants to know everything about everyone.
I don't want to sound judgy. I really don't. I don't mean to sound judgy. I also acknowledge that I have reached a certain age where my perception on things makes me sound judgy.
How they make their money anyway?
You kids get off my lawn.
I always want to know, what is their story?
But to me, that's basic, right?
How did they get successful?
I have just stepped into an organization. I have inherited this portfolio of donors. I'm starting to reach out and call them and meet them and go see them. I want to know what they look like. I look them up. I research them to find out. I want to
be able to spot them in the grocery store.
I'm not going to look at them and go, "Oh, so your house was with 1.8 million." I am going to look at them and know that, at least that they're married, or that, whatever.
Or that, they...
How are the kids?
Right, yeah, that they have children, or that they wear peach shorts. I mean... I did not know peach shorts, but now.
What is wrong with my memory today? What is wrong with my brain today? Because you say peach shorts and I go short shorts, and suddenly I'm singing the Nair commercial in my head.
Oh, I was singing a whole different song because I listened to the rap music that was a little vulgar back in the day. So short shorts had a different meaning to me. However,
I think we started this story with
embarrassing things.
With embarrassing things.
So there are ways to prevent embarrassment.
We have segued.
There are also ways to handle embarrassment.
There is also the acknowledgement that we are all humans.
Everybody gets embarrassed.
So here's the thing that's interesting, because you know how I love the brain chemistry stuff, right?
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Emotions, they believe, the understanding is that we tend to remember embarrassing or cringe moments, in what's called mood congruent memory. In other words, we tend to remember an embarrassing moment when we are feeling embarrassing.
Oh, yes.
Right? Embarrassed.
If I'm embarrassed, I can recall for you everything I've ever done to embarrass myself, both purposely and not purposely.
Do you do that thing where you go to bed at night and suddenly all the cringe memories start coming up, like the time you called your third grade teacher mom instead of Mrs. Smith?
No, dear. No, that's 3 a.m. for me. That's not at 9 p.m. when I go to bed like a good 80-year-old. But it also is something.
Don't mock an 8:30 bedtime.
Hey. Nothing wrong with snoring by 9.
Thank you.
I call that Lynn Midnight. But I will also say it's something to remember too, that everybody has embarrassing moments, including the people that we work with.
That's my point.
And so how can we reduce that embarrassment for them? How can we give them grace? How can we be the Cynthia in the situation, or the donor who was very grace-filled? She wasn't like, oh my God, my chair, because I would have been like, my chair.
Let's be honest though.
Right?
I mean, you know me and the whole working out thing, that this is still very new to me, and going to the gym. And I stayed away from the gym for many, many years because of being embarrassed.
Trauma. We call that the United States Presidential Physical Fitness.
Oh, yeah, that. We've talked about that before. And they say, oh, well, nobody's watching you. Everybody's more concerned. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's just not true.
And now people have cell phones, and they're going to film me, and I'm going to end up on somebody's internets.
But you know what? I take strength in that. Because if we have spent, what they say can't hurt you. Oh, yes, it can. Right.
Talk to me about why I cry for no reason some days.
What somebody thinks about you is none of your business. No, it absolutely is. Like, we all feel this way.
Those things, but
it is hard to overcome these things. But what makes us human is that we all do them.
What makes me human is I still want to know what happened to the smithereens of the chair. I am curious. And was there a chair fire sale where she sold 3? I want to know. I'm here for it, Clay. I've got to know the details.
I don't know. In my mind, some poor kid had to spend the afternoon with super glue and ghost chair pieces.
And in my mind, that certain board chair and his family only wear peach pants ever. And you know what I mean? They probably weren't even that peach, but in my mind, they are, salmony peach. There's warning signs.
This is what their sofas are covered in too.
Exactly. Yeah. They're just peach pant people.
I am, even today, I am convinced, if this woman even remembers me, that it's forever the guy that broke the chair, right?
And she probably
does.
Moved on.
But the point, my punchline at least is, especially in this work that we do, because this work is hard, number one. And number two, it requires us to be vulnerable.
It does.
We sit in this gap, right, between this world, these real world problems, these problems that need solutions. And we carry those stories of what needs solved. And we in this gap. And then on the other side, we're carrying the stories of the people that want help, their stories and all of that. And we're in the middle here. This is a tough place
in a chair
to be, kind of squeezed in a chair, like on toothpicks, right? Hopefully someday we'll sprout.
I'm still.
If somebody changes our water. Yeah. It's the same thing, right?
Oh my God. Now I have a visual of my mom growing avocado pit plants.
See, we did it with potatoes.
Okay.
Point is, we are all human. They're human. The donors are human. We're human. We're taking care of humans. No matter how you look at this,
or animals.
Well, but even
planet.
Right.
And here's my punchline. I love your punchline. My punchline is, be the person that helps you out of the embarrassment. Doesn't add to it.
Yeah.
Be the person that instead of pointing and laughing and asking about the shard, were they shards or smithereens? Like, I want to know details here because Clay's my friend and he knows that I know because I'm thinking of suitcase handle, but which is a great inside joke for us.
Story.
And I think it's a story we're going to have to tell on the podcast someday.
We're going to have to tell that story.
But be the person that helps with grace when somebody is embarrassing and they don't know it. And I wasn't really embarrassed. I just didn't know who he was, right? Which I guess some people could take as embarrassment, but be the person that helps the other person out. Not adds water to the pot.
Right. Is busting that chair my most embarrassing story? Not by a long shot.
No.
Got far more embarrassing stories, some within the profession and some without. Is it a story that to me brought forward every single negative thing that I think about myself? Yes. Absolutely. 100%. You know what, though? I have power over it because I'm telling the story.
Yeah.
That's the other punchline, right? We all do embarrassing things. Own it.
Love it.
Claim it. It's yours. It's part of who you are.
I'm going to go in your house now and test out all the chairs. If you guys have an embarrassing story you want to share about fundraising, let us know. Fundraisingisfunny.com, and we'll see you soon.